Hello, I'm so pleased that you're joining me on this series of videos about the most powerful techniques that I've learned over the last 20 years. You've got all the scripts. If you read the scripts, you'll understand so much of what makes them work. If you practice with the scripts, you'll see that they work. So what I want to do is just give you the principles behind the scripts so that you feel confident and excited about using them. So in this video series, I'm going to cover the 6 techniques that create rapid transformation. But first, we need to talk about how do you put your clients into that relaxed, meditative, transcendent state where they're in connection with their unconscious. And that might make it sound magical. It's actually really simple. It's basically a very positively charged relaxation. So it's a relaxation with a healing intention or an inspirational intention. And so I want to kind of talk you through some of the techniques that are at play in that script so that you understand it. So when you read that script, you'll see lots of words that are about permission. So you're first of all making them be really comfortable. You're giving them permission to move. You're giving them permission for there to be disturbances, outside noises. You want to create the setting where no matter what's going on, it's included within the realm of the thing working. You're then using powerful language patterns and intention setting techniques so that people see the benefit of relaxing and that they are opening in a specific way where transformation is more likely to occur. It begins by getting them to focus on their breathing, and this breathing technique of breathing all the air out of their body and pausing before they breathing in fully and pausing before they breathe out will take your clients into a deeply relaxed, entranced state. Now, they're not going to some faraway magical kingdom. They're just present. In fact, one of my great inspirations is a psychologist called Stephen Walensky, who wrote a brilliant book called The Trances We Live. Highly recommended if you're excited about this stuff. And his theory is that actually meditation or the transcendent state is exactly that. It's the end of trance. He believes people walk around in a programmed trance of being the successful one or the angry one or the firstborn or the unloved or the, sports person. We have these identities. Our clients have these identities, and these transcendent states take them into a place of objectivity. It enables their ability to access memory, to understand where dysfunction has come from. It enables them to access and release trauma and the repressed emotion safely. So powerful, this state. And so the breath work works a charm. But this script, as you see, it also has a number of visualization elements. So it invites them to imagine that they're stepping out in the morning. It's a bright, beautiful, sunshiny day. I work with clients in the UK. That's a particularly positive state for them, rare, unfortunately. And they feel the warm sunshine on their face, but you get them to think about breathing in the sunshine and breathing out clouds. Clearing their inner consciousness so their inner world is becoming more blue sky and less grey. This is a metaphor for the whole therapeutic process. But by speaking to that in your induction, you are laying the foundation for when you're using the 6 transformational techniques, it's more powerful. You will also notice that in the script of using words like allow yourself to become more and more relaxed. You're not telling them to be more relaxed, you're not dictating, you're inviting. It also says things like notice feelings of relaxation moving all the way down throughout your body. Now, you're not saying, hey, are you relaxed? You're saying notice. So then they cast their mind into their system to look for evidence of the relaxation that's occurring. You're leading them to the experience, but you're not creating it. They'll already be feeling relaxed because of the breathing. But by bringing their attention to it, and it's happening, then you begin to be an authoritative voice in the process. And their unconscious starts realizing, wow, what he's saying is true. And that builds rapport. And with that rapport, you can help them help themselves more powerfully. So you're not just taking them into relaxation, you're establishing yourself as someone that can truly help, that knows what's happening and knows what's occurring. And so there's another visualization or metaphor within the script which says that your unconscious mind knows exactly what to do. Just like when you cut your finger, it knows how to heal it. For a while, there's a defensive layer created, and then underneath it, the healing's occurring. And then when it is time, that defensive layer can fall away, the scab, and everything's healed. Now, that's a beautiful metaphor, but it's also a powerful reminder to them that they don't need to do the healing. The unconscious will do the healing. And it's also a message to the unconscious that it's time to let go of the defensive layer. The defensive layer is the dysfunctional behavior, the addictions, the sabotage, the depression, the anxiety. These are protectionary mechanisms created by the mind. And we're already telling the unconscious, you know what, it is time. And in fact, in the script, it says, when it is time. But your intonation at that moment, and this is where you see you can play with these techniques so beautifully. You can say, when it is time, or when it is time. A subtle difference, but if you're believing it is time for this to be healed, when you say it, their unconscious feels that congruence, it feels that certainty. It might seem subtle to you or too simple to be powerful, but I promise you, if you read this script, I suggest you do it with a friend or a partner or just to practice it, they will be within 5 or 10 minutes profoundly relaxed, but open and connecting to themselves in a way where they'll be so ready to do deep inner work on themselves. This stuff is so powerful. And so I'm so excited to share all of these other scripts, and on the next videos that are coming up, to talk to you about the big 6. These are the most transformational techniques that when you use them with this transcendent state, massively amplify your ability to help people and hugely accelerate the therapeutic process. So I'm so excited to see you on the next video. Hello, in this video I want to share with you 2 techniques that to me are they're the foundation. You can do incredible work on other levels, but if you haven't cleared the decks of people's limiting beliefs, if you haven't cleared the decks of their repressed emotion, and if you haven't looked at where the dysfunctional behavior has come from and learned how to negotiate with it, then for me almost everything else is a sticking plaster. Patterns of sabotage repeat and cycle. The symptomology you might be able to change. They might go from one addiction to another, but if the primary cause for their condition isn't resolved, then the healing isn't complete, and they haven't really got a chance of enjoying real lasting happiness or creating much success in their life. So these 2 techniques are the absolute crux of what it is to kind of deprogram the negative thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and behaviors that are taking people out of alignment. And so the first of those techniques is regression. A regression technique, when combined with the relaxation, transcendental state that you've already learned how to create, is so powerful. It enables you to take people back in time and to connect with younger versions of themselves, to find out what started this, what events, what moments of upset, what trauma. Also, not just the trauma created by happenings, but also what's the non-event trauma? Where was those moments that should have happened that never did happen? And what belief was created in those moments? When people are traumatized, they choose to believe that it was their fault, or they choose to believe it's normal. They decide never to apply themselves, or that it doesn't matter, or that everyone will let you down. These are the things that really define our client's narrative, and therefore go on to be a filter through which they see the world. And so, for me, in the scripts, you've got scripts that enable you to take your clients back in time. So you create the relaxed, transcendent, meditative state, and then you take them on a journey to meet with this younger version of themselves. This inner child work is so powerful. I mean, I'm terrified in the world of some change. There are some people like, oh, you don't need to know why things happen. And for me, it's not about needing to know why. One, I believe knowing why explains so much about who we are and how we are that it's deeply valuable for our self-compassion, but it also makes us compassionate for everybody else in the world. And so the technique, as you'll see in the script, you create the relaxation, and then you take them to a place that they feel safe. It's what you call a resource state. So a favorite place of relaxation, or an imaginary place like a clearing in a forest. And you let them know that you're going to invite into that space that part of them, that younger version of them, who first felt that they weren't good enough, or first believed that, food was comfort, or first believed that life was hard, or that they weren't worth it, or that they won't get their needs met. And finding those moments and being able to help that person, first of all, help that younger version of them be honest about their upsets. So many people, they're not able to be honest about their disappointment in their parents, in their carers. It's too traumatic when we're younger. So you're helping them access the truth. Some people are like, oh, you're just opening a can of worms. No, yes, there's repressed emotion in there, but that repressed emotion is already poisoning that person's life. And using these techniques, it's a safe way of accessing the emotion, safely releasing it, and then bringing in the truth where the child can be honest about the fact it was let down. Because most people, they've gone to forgiveness too soon. They've had therapy, or they've been reading spiritual books, or doing their best to apply the logic of forgiveness, but they are trying to forgive their carers before they've even unconsciously been able to be honest with themselves about having been let down in the first place. They have an inner child that hasn't wanted to admit that. And so creating the space for that child to release its feelings and to tell the truth to itself enables you then to help your clients then integrate that young version of them. And sometimes people say, oh, I'm afraid of public speaking, or I'm afraid of being in a relationship, or people who are sexually abused, they're like, oh, I think sex is revolting. It's like, when we have repressed content, repressed trauma, there's a part of us that remains frozen in time. So these people aren't afraid of public speaking. They're just trying to make their inner 6-year-old speak to 200 people at a conference. Their inner child, it's not age appropriate. People that were sexually abused, they have an 11-year-old that's trapped in time, in space, in their body, and they're trying to be sexual, and it feels revolting. And it's because it's not age appropriate for an 11-year-old. They're re-traumatizing that aspect of themselves that's frozen. These techniques enable you to safely access those parts and lovingly reintegrate them and allow them to become whole and adult, and with that to have an adult understanding. But amazingly, they also get the gift. That part has been out in the cold, but it's creative, it's playful, it's especially feminine. These are the lost and fragmented parts of our clients that need to be brought home, warmed up, loved unconditionally, and then adopted. And then your client gets all sorts of resource states, becomes more alive and lively and playful and spontaneous. And so deeply healing, massively empowering, and incredibly quick. So I encourage you to experiment with these scripts, experiment with these techniques, and just sit back and watch your clients have just the most beautiful healing experiences. But included in this is also parts negotiation. So the other major technique of changing these negative thoughts and feelings is a technique called parts negotiation, where you're able to locate and directly communicate with a part that's responsible for smoking, for example, or responsible for sabotage, or responsible for procrastination, or not putting yourself out there, all that stuff that people do. And be able to speak to that part directly, to create a boardroom visualization where you're able to go and sit. It's like doing third chair work, but actually on the inside, using visualization. And it doesn't matter if your clients can't see pictures, it's just you use the script, and the principles are you find the part, and that might be internally visualizing or just feeling emotion in the body. But then this is the thing that makes all the difference. Your client is going to be angry at the part of themselves that sabotages. Is going to be judging themselves for smoking or drinking too much. Or be judging themselves for not being brave enough to use social media to promote their business. And the most important technique and what the script will enable you to help your clients do is to thank the part. And that is a total game changer. That which we resist persists. But internally, when we're able to find that part and instead of attack it, actually apologize to it and thank it for what it's trying to do in essence, it is magical. I have seen some people's lifelong conditions evaporate away in an instant because they've just changed that bit. Now, listen, some people have things that are more chronic and are harder to shift. And sometimes that's big things that you think would be harder to shift, and they are. And sometimes those things shift quickly. And other things that should shift more quickly don't. I'm not going to pretend that these are miracle cures and that you can just fix everything quickly. It's not like that. But can these techniques magically work at times? Yes. Are these the only things I've been using for years because they're the best things to use? I truly believe they are. Do I do inner work with all my clients every time? No. It's the traditional method of analysis and exploration and talking and the unconditional positive regard. But backed up with these, when we find something, we can just go in and we can get in there and we can talk directly. These parts need reassurance and they need reintegration. Sometimes they have conditions. I worked with a client once who was afraid of public speaking, but he'd been fine public speaking and he got more nervous, and it was because he was overworking. And so his soul, his system just didn't want him to work like that. So they just took something he could do and made it so that he didn't feel comfortable. When we got in there, we spoke to that part and it was like he needs to reduce his working hours. We made that deal. He reduced his working hours and he was fine public speaking. It can sometimes be that simple. And so those two techniques combined are just amazing. I'm so excited to let you have the scripts. I'm so excited for you to start experimenting with these techniques because they will help your clients experience freedom in ways so rapidly that they will love you forever and they will tell all of their friends about the amazing work that you're doing. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with you the two techniques about putting your clients in touch with their power, flow states, mental rehearsals. So please watch the next video. I'm really excited to share those with you. So in this video, I want to share with you the two powerful techniques for transformation, which are about power. Once we've cleared the decks of our clients' negative feelings and limiting beliefs, then we can move into what I call programming. And that's what this video is about. Our ability to get our clients to believe in themselves more. Now, this is not about making them into something new. This is about aligning them with who would they have been if they'd always been supported? Who would they have been if they'd always been believed in? If they'd been brought up by enlightened beings? If they'd gone to the been taught by amazing inspirational teachers that looked after their whole well-being and taught them all sorts of life lessons and empowered them, and and they've been protected from all trauma and all disappointment. It's like, how do we reboot that? Who are we on the inside? And so the first technique is around mind programming, visualization, but I use that term as an umbrella for essentially programming tools. And so it's really important in the therapeutic process that we're not leading our clients and that we're not dictating to them how to think and how to feel, but based on what your client wants and who they really are and what you've worked out who they are, then supporting your clients to understand how to think differently so they feel differently and behave differently. We have inside ourselves extraordinary amounts of potential. And our beliefs about who we are, how we speak about ourselves, how we speak about life, completely filter our reality and that what we believe is reflected back to us. So when we can actively help our clients reprogram how they're thinking, what they're expecting, then they see incredible change. And so these are vital skills. This is not the be all and end all. Some therapeutic models, that's all they do. They just do programming. But if you haven't cleared the decks, that's like the secret and the law of attraction stuff. It's like, it's powerful if you're free of all of your fear and you totally believe you're deserving. But if you're just doing that, it's not enough. So this programming stuff has to sit on the foundation of having really cleared the decks of all the negative stuff. But then it's about, once your clients are in that deeply meditative state, you're able to get them to create pictures of the world. And so within the scripts you've got, there are scripts there to enable your clients to be more confident and powerful. So these are good programming scripts. I'm giving you some examples of them, and you can use those almost immediately with your clients, and you'll notice how much better they feel. And these can give your clients a lift for a couple of days, but these can also prepare your clients for dates or presentations. But you're also teaching your clients these techniques so they know how to use them for themselves. And so the core principles in these scripts is about using the senses to build up our sensation. When we are in an experience, we're hearing things, we're seeing things, we're feeling sensation on our skin, there's a certain temperature, there's smells in the air, there's tastes associated with a space. And so when you're getting your clients to visualize, you want to bring in as many of the senses as possible. And you're trying to build up a sense of reality. And so if you had someone, for example, that was nervous in interviews, the human mind can't tell the difference between real and imagined. And so if you get them to mentally rehearse and visualize very deeply, seeing with all of the senses enriched in the experience, interviews going well, numbers of interviews. If they've had 10 interviews that went really well, they'd expect the 11th to go well. Those first 10 can be internally visualized. It sounds simplistic, but when you use these techniques, they massively accelerate the therapeutic process. And so getting your clients to create a picture in their mind and body. But it's really important for them not to focus on the details. You have to be careful what you wish for in this life. You don't want them focusing on what does it look like? What are the mechanics of what I'm doing? It's better to get them to visualize the end result. And so for me, if a client's got a presentation, I get them to see themselves walking confidently on stage, but then I focus mainly on how did it feel at the end? What's the visualization of the end result where everyone's clapping? What's the feeling in their body that they know they smashed it? What are people saying to them? And so you build that up, but then as that's peaking, and ideally they're feeling really good, and I use music in my work to make it even more powerful and emotional. Then you bring in empowered language patterns, and this is the absolute key. And this is part of the alignment technology. So people have to be aligned. They have to have language patterns which are aligned. They have to have beliefs which are aligned. They have to have action lists that are aligned. And so often, the words that people use to describe themselves or their condition are holding them back. No one should talk about themselves in the way that so many clients do. We should never reflect a label back. Even if you believe in labels and they're sometimes useful, never say that to your client. Never use the word depressed or anxious, or don't ever give them that label back. They might be operating with it. You might be using it as an umbrella term. But it's like, this is so true in so many cases. People that don't sleep well, it's how they talk about how they sleep. It's a huge part of the problem. Are there physiological things? Are there psychological things? Yes. But is how they're speaking about it making it worse? All the time. So understanding how to create empowered language patterns for your clients is vital therapeutically, so that they can say words that are focusing on what they want to be improved. So that someone's saying each and every day, I'm enjoying being more and more confident. Are you saying they're confident? There are some affirmations out there which tell people like, I am confident. Do not tell your clients to say that, because if they're not confident, if they say that, they will not believe it, and it will just confirm the lack. We can't lie to ourselves. But is someone on a scale of confidence? Yes, they can't be completely devoid of confidence. Everyone is on a scale, a continuum of some degree of confidence. It might be very, very, very low, but there is still some. So is it possible that they could affirm to themselves each and every day, I am enjoying more and more confidence, or each and every day I'm enjoying eating the right amounts of the right kind of food? Is it possible they could acknowledge their ability to have more freedom, to be more willing to love? All of these things are in them, and they could be expanded and increased. And so learning how to create these language patterns that affirm the change, they're positive focused, and they're based in a belief that our clients can be free. This is so vital. So as your client is visualizing, you then bring in these alignment principles. And within that, then you get them to think about what are the actions they need to take. What are the actions they need to take? And in that deep state, You get them to think about, what do I need to do to be this person if this is who I could be? You're getting them into essentially a flow state where they're believing they've got everything they need within them to do whatever they need to do. And in that place, they're resourced. And their soul, their heart, their higher self knows. And when you do that, they will then come out with their to-do list, an empowered to-do list, where you tend to make action points and action lists. And it's so many therapeutic methodologies don't include an accountability structure on taking action. And so our job, our role is to help people recognize, what do I need to do to live differently? How can I speak about that in a way where it will actually happen? And what actually is that? And so in that state, you're getting them to align. Who would they be? How does it feel? What does it look like? What are the language patterns they would use? And to get them to experience themselves in that state powerfully. Again, I use really powerful music, and in that state, they know what to do, and they're empowered and inspired to do it. It's by engaging their heart and their soul and their unconscious in that way, in those moments, that's what makes transformation possible. That's when they feel powerful. That's when they get into flow. And that's when they realize they are the perfect person at the perfect time to do the perfect thing in the perfect way. And if they can walk around with that belief, then their life begins to move again in all sorts of interesting ways. You can't do that stuff if you haven't cleared the decks. But once you have, then that stuff is so beautiful and they are flying, and it's the most satisfying work. So I'm really excited to have shared the principles behind the scripts that you got. Use them, enjoy them, incorporate music into your work. It is so powerful. Get your clients to use playlists to get themselves fired up. And I'm really excited in the next video to share with you the really deep work around purpose and the more spiritual work of transcendence and surrender, which I believe are essentials for people to really have an enriched and meaningful relationship with life. In this video, I want to share with you that which I think is the final piece of the puzzle. When I've looked at different models, different therapeutic styles, different wisdom traditions, a lot of them focus in actually one of these three key areas. You know, they either look at the kind of releasing repressed content, looking at trauma, looking at the past, trying to do the therapeutic thing of fixing that. But they then don't do the empowerment piece. Or there's the kind of coaching, law of attraction, secret thing where they're just like programming, just positive belief alone will change everything. And that really has its limitations. Or maybe they work hand in hand, but there's a third piece around purpose. There's a third piece about the meaning of life. Whilst your clients might not know it, but their spiritual relationship to life is a fundamental part. Their existential meaning. Like, why are they here? What is the purpose of life in general? What is the purpose of them? And for me, these two techniques are so important. And these are often used in really advanced spiritual communities, but they then aren't doing the therapeutic work, or they're not doing the empowerment work. It's the combination of these 6 techniques together that gives you a full toolkit to be able to do really profound work. And these 2 techniques are about transcendence and surrender, and they might seem really lofty or out there, but these turn up in very real cases around conditions like anxiety, insomnia, a sense of pointlessness, depression. This is what's underpinning so many of these conditions that we're working with day in, day out. And so I don't need to use these 2 techniques with everybody, but for me they're so important. In a spiritual sense, the movement of freedom is going from being overly identified with a small, limited, fearful personality, and moving towards identifying with our larger, loving, unlimited, faithful universality. It's about transcending our human small self, our personality. It's the transpersonal realm, and connecting to a wider context of meaning. For me, it's all about oneness. And whilst a lot of our clients might not be thinking about life in those terms, they're on that same journey. They're on that same path, whether they know it or not. So helping them see that and giving them these two tools that really make it easier, it's a kind thing to do, it's a valuable thing to do. So the first tool I want to share, and you have a script, it's the Transcendent script in the pack we've sent you. This technique is so beautiful. It's a really lovely, lovely journey script. I've developed it over many, many years, used it with lots and lots of different people. And it essentially takes people on a journey into like a trust test with the universe. You know, on some kind of management away days, they do this trust test where you fall backwards and you're caught in the arms of your colleagues, and it's meant to increase rapport. Well, this is like a much bigger cosmic version of that with the universe, where you get your clients to visualize being in a beautiful meadow, and it takes them into this kind of cave in the foot of a mountain, and it takes them down this path into this center of the mountain where it's kind of hollowed out, and it takes them out into this long ledge. On either side of the ledge is this empty abyss. I know this sounds kind of dark, but it starts dark only to bring them out into the most glorious light. It's about truly, truly letting go of one's personal needs and dissolving into connection to the all. See, to the ego, life is painful and short and brutish, and it sees the void as the great dark nothingness. This is the seat of nihilism, which is the driving force in unbridled hedonism and unbridled materialism, none of which leads to any satisfaction. And yet, if we can allow our clients to drop off and to go from realizing that the void is some empty nothingness to realizing it's actually a connected field of everythingness, then suddenly most of what they're concerned about is put into a context of perspective which changes everything. And that might sound complicated or too deep to be relevant to most of your clients, but the script isn't. So I recommend you practice with that, but understand the principle underneath it. On that script, it takes people into a depersonalized state where it asks them, in this moment, without identity, without memory, without sensation, without perception, in this moment, are you happy, unhappy, or neither? In the exact and pure present moment, there is no judgment, there is no labeling, there is no spirit there is no duality, as they describe it in spiritual circles. And transcending that duality brings us to a state of oneness where we're at peace with all things as they are, including ourselves. And we can see the interconnected purpose of life. And within that, we see our purpose. It's not about the great philanthropic acts and deeds that we do. It's about being free to be who we really are. That's how we fulfill our purpose. And when we can see our clients, they get to be amazing, not in spite of their past, but precisely because of their past. They are the perfect shape to be everything they need to be, and that they can fulfill their purpose by loving who they are and trusting that everything is perfect and life is essentially eternal. That has a positive impact. And I know it might sound strange, but it's really, really beautiful. But it does take people to the edge of their mortality. It gets them to look at their death, which is why you need the second technique, which is surrender. All of our suffering comes from our attachment to things, either our want for certain things to happen or our want for certain things not to happen. And it's those attachments that create negotiables or non-negotiables or frictions or tensions, and they get in the way of life flowing, get in the way of us flowing. And so the surrender process is a really beautiful script that enables you to take your clients on a journey to let go, to relax, to trust, to surrender. And it's so important for people who are into control and who are tense. But the ultimate form of that, the ultimate training for that, is really about getting people to give their death permission. I know that sounds morbid. In our culture, we don't talk about death. We don't see death. We don't see abattoirs. We don't even, the meat that people eat, they don't call it pig, they call it pork. It's like, are you having a slab of cow? No, I'm eating steak. There's ways which we avoid the truth of death. Even all of these bands that are reforming, that were popular 20 years ago, that's like this whole social agreement for us not to age. Everyone's just trying to relive their youth. These are important things in today's world that we talk about and that we accept that life has death in it on the personal level. But with transcendence, we realize that as the singular field, as the oneness field, as the true nature of our electrical subatomic reality, we live forever. And the only thing that dies is fear. And whilst most therapeutic models don't go anywhere near this stuff, by incorporating that, using these simple techniques, actually so many conditions are improved. People feel more confident, they feel more relaxed. But you, as a therapist, being able to take people on these journeys, it's the most beautiful work. I cannot tell you the satisfaction of taking people into that bliss of oneness, that bliss of interconnection, creating spiritual epiphanies. 20 years ago, I had a massive, life-changing spiritual epiphany where I felt totally connected to the oneness. All fear evaporated from me, and I was flooded from within with natural happiness, an incredible amount of love. It wasn't added to me. It was naturally in there. It had been held back by this fear and this belief in separation. These two techniques are about transcending the sense of separation and surrendering to the great flow of life and connecting to that eternal state. And as a therapist or as a facilitator, giving people those experiences, helping them see that for themselves is the most satisfying thing you can do. So I'm really excited for you to use those scripts. If you're watching this, I'm hoping you've watched the other videos where I've shared with you the 6 techniques of transformation, and you can see their power. I'm hoping you've also experimented using these scripts, and you can see how powerful they are. Using the tutorial videos and those scripts is enough for you to start getting some amazing results with your clients. And I'm so excited about that. I get emails every week from people I've never met, who I've never trained personally, who are using these techniques, and they are getting incredible results. So my hope for you is that you do that. And yet, if you have seen these videos and you've looked at these scripts and this has got you excited about what's possible, I really want to talk to you in this video about the training that I run. I am so passionate about getting this information out there. You have a handful of scripts. I have created over the last 20 years like 150 different scripts. So using this technology but applied to specific conditions around anxiety, around depression, around how people live, about how they work, about confidence, about nail biting, about smoking. These tools and techniques enable you to stop people's addictions, sometimes in one session. It's an incredible feeling, stopping someone from smoking in one session. And I'm not saying you want to do that work, but having the skills to be able to do that, to know that there are other therapists out there that can do that, you would want to know how they do that, how to stop phobias, the phobia cure processes that I can give you scripts for, that are in the training that I offer, are just mind-blowing at reducing anxiety. So I'm hoping that you've seen these big 6 techniques can now be applied to very specific conditions that you'll see day in, day out in your practice, to amplify your power and to improve the degree to which you can help your clients. And I know if you've come this far, you care about helping your clients. You're not wanting to bury your head in the sand and stay just in one paradigm of training. We have a responsibility to continuously improve what we do. I've had a voracious desire to learn new techniques and to study new ways of creating change. And so these 6 techniques are very, very powerful. But my training looks at the deeper spiritual context of what makes people have happiness and success. Whilst our clients might want a symptom to go away, underneath that, they want to be more happy, they want to be more successful. And I've developed a 3-pillar system which looks at our peace, our power, and our purpose, and how our clients are disrupted around their peace, their power, and their purpose. And that's where the 6 techniques are embedded, looking at the limiting belief of I'm not good enough, looking at the idea I don't have what I need within me to succeed, and the belief that I'm pointless, nothing in an empty, meaningless universe. The 6 techniques will enable you to change those 3 limiting beliefs that underpin all behaviors. But you know what? The best way for you to learn these techniques is to experience these tools for yourself. Whilst you're practicing them, you will learn. but it is when you experience them. And in an immersive learning environment, I've created an 8-day training which enables you, and it's 4 days and then a few weeks later another 4 days. It enables you to experience firsthand with like-minded people these extraordinary experiences, to go on these journeys, and then for us in very powerful sharing circles to explore what's occurred and to discuss what's occurred. And you see me in person work with people, demonstrating these techniques, experiencing them for yourselves, and learning what your clients will do with this. What will their questions be? What will their resistance be? How do you use these techniques to overcome resistance? How do you use these techniques to overcome cynicism, skepticism? How do you build this into your practice? How do you talk about this work so that you attract the right clients? All of that stuff is included. And so yes, is this useful, continuous professional development? But for me, as you'll see from the testimonials, working with people that have done so many trainings, saying that this training has been the absolute game changer, and the actual training itself is a huge personal development experience. It's designed that way. It takes you on a personal journey so you can firsthand trust these techniques, so you can see that they're safe, so you can see that they're really, really powerful. But the other part of this training, which I am so excited about, which I can't share with you over video because you need to experience it firsthand, is how to combine deep meditation, the 6 techniques, and music. Using music as a healing metaphor. When I incorporated this into my work, it went stratospheric. My clients in floods of tears, incredible epiphanies, massive breakthroughs, and it's led by their unconscious using the music note by note to make incredible experiences. I am so excited to share these techniques with you in an immersive learning experience. The truth is, I'm interested in creating a microcosm where we get to see the perfection of the interconnection, where everything you say and everything someone else shares, when it's done in this context, using these principles and these practices, we see the magic. We start to see the perfection. I prove the model within the training. You see how the techniques works. You see people having huge breakthroughs, getting big insights. I am so passionate about sharing this training. I know people naturally have resistance, so I want to offer you an absolute gold standard guarantee. And that guarantee says this: if you come on this training and you do not find it phenomenally valuable, if you do not feel that it has transformed your private practice, then not only will I return your course fees, but I will pay you £5,000 for your time. I take your time seriously. I know that if you've watched these so far, you will love this training. And so I'm really excited to invite you into our community where we're all there supporting each other, learning how to do this work better, constantly tweaking the process and learning from each other, supporting each other, answering and looking at our difficult cases. We are growing together. People in their own modalities, in their own ways, massage therapists, reflexologists, psychologists, psychiatrists, therapists, all incorporating these techniques and these principles to take their work to the next level. Thank you for giving me the chance to share with you the techniques that I'm passionate about. I would love for you to do this training. If you're thinking about it, the next step is for you to book a call with me. That's a chance for me to answer any questions that you've got, but it's also a chance for you to experience a FreeMind coaching session. So I would really love you to bring onto that call something you're struggling with, and I will do my best in that short amount of time to demonstrate how these principles and practices are used when someone is dealing with something they're struggling with. So I will be a free coaching call, which usually I charge a lot of money for, but I want to give you a taste. So yes, it's a chance to answer your questions, but it's also a chance for you to experience firsthand how I work with people using these techniques so that you can get a sense if it's really right for you. So is there anything you want help with? Because I would love to show you how I could help using this model. And that should help you realize if this training is right for you.
The FreeMind training has transformed my practice as an educational psychologist and a therapist. I very often find myself working with clients who for one reason or another feel stuck, trapped. They're not moving forward due to self-limiting, quite often false self-limiting beliefs. And the FreeMind training really gave me a whole set of therapeutic tools to help people move forward quickly and effectively, to help them recognize the origins of their difficulties, to help them see things from a different perspective, or to delve a little deeper into why they might have been doing things or not doing things in a certain way for a certain reason. It's really marked a big change in my practice, the way that I look at my work with clients, the resources that I give them to help them move forward. And it's also really transformed the kind of feedback that I get from my clients about their satisfaction with my work, and more importantly, their satisfaction with their lives. So I wholeheartedly recommend the FreeMind training under Tom Fortismere.
Hi, I'm Joanne Oakley. I completed the FreeMind training November 2018. I'm a therapeutic coach, and I'm a master NLP coach. I completed a psychology degree 25 years ago. Been working for myself for about 12 years now. One-to-one, small groups, whole staff trainings. And I just wanted to highly recommend Tom Fortismere's work. I asked Tom to work with my own daughter since completing his training. I found his work so profound, and it's had a wonderful, wonderful outcome on a long-distant past trauma that she experienced. I've seen clients that I had worked with for quite some time make very exciting kind of internal changes for themselves after using the FreeMind set of tools. So I just wanted to say I've completed, attachment training, inner child training, as I said, a psychology degree in the UK 25 years ago. I've completed the Introduction to Counselling and Psychotherapy, and I would just offer to anyone who's working in the field of human behaviour therapeutically to look at this set of tools. They're really, really very special. Tom's work is very special, and I'm watching it have profound effects on clients who come with small wishes for change, and with clients who've come with very, very deep, long-standing trauma. Can't recommend him highly enough. Can't recommend Tom. Can't recommend FreeMind highly enough. Bye for now.
I really want to drop in for a moment and genuinely acknowledge you, because there is a thing that you have that very few leaders have, and I see it so rarely, where you have the capacity with your words to explain in a way that connects to hearts, and then you have the embodiment and the genuine love to actually have the frequency behind the words to really mean something. And so when I see who you are and what you've got, and your community already knows it, but when I see who you are and what you've got, I just see how humanity needs your voice and you to speak, because when you speak, it actually means something, and people listen and they really, really get it. They get it at a listening level, at a brain level, and then their body feels it, because you're not just saying the words, you actually mean the words. You're in the words. And this is a piece of what I'd like to call the therapists out there forward, to really own their humanity, to really own their humanity as therapists, as leaders as well, because it's few and far between the therapists who are the leaders who are prepared to, in an embodiment, look in the camera and own the gaps and own their humanity. And the thing is, that's the greatest gift of it all. The humanity is the greatest gift to another human, so you do it so well. So I want to see Tom blow up even more. I know you're getting like the 10, 20 shares on your posts. I know that, but I want to see like the 200s and I feel like your voice could go viral in a moment, In fact, if you're watching this, share it, because this man is the real deal. And I'm just such a support of you, your work, and your words, my brother.
Thank you.